Tonight, new Q posts, Roseanne on Q's radar, and the genius behind the Sessions recusal. Hi, I'm Craig, and welcome to Just Form Talk. As I always do, I want to start out by thanking each and every one of my subscribers. Without you guys, this channel would not be possible, so thank you so much for joining me here. If you haven't yet, please come to this landing page, click the big red subscribe button, and make sure you hit the bell for notifications. That way you can get notified as soon as these videos get posted, because as soon as the information is made available to me, I make it available to you. Now, getting into the latest Q posts, we're just going to jump right in. I'm going to take 1 minute here to address an issue, though. A lot of my users in Europe, in the EU, or subscribers and people who are watching this channel are having a lot of trouble getting access to their this page, to getting access to my main Just Informed Talk page to see the videos and everything else. So I'm looking into that right now, but if anybody has any ideas, please let me know in the comments. Obviously, censorship is just going crazy at YouTube. I've had my own set of issues with them, and I'm still having issues with them where it seems like they're just playing games with me at times and not wanting to listen to me or address any of my real issues that I'm bringing to their attention. But that being said, let's jump right into Q. First, we have this Q post right here. So this is where we left off last time. And this is where we're jumping in here today. And it's security test, open bracket, close bracket, sec1, sec-a, sec slash sec hashtag pound, line confirmation, B through Z run. Now, obviously this is the new set of sec tests to make sure that the comms are clear so that this board can continue to post, and this is the one we're going to. So now that you guys know that, let's go into the first post, which is kind of a lighter one. Now, a good friend of mine, I know she's an avid listener and will probably be listening to this episode, brought to my attention recently that Roseanne Barr tweeted about QAnon. And I thought it was funny, and I thought it was certainly a good step in the right direction to get as many people informed as we possibly can. But incredibly enough, guess who picked up on it? Q himself here. And what the AN0N post right here says, "How was your Easter, Q?" To which Q responds, "We had a good laugh, Q." And what it goes to is this picture here showing all of the many headlines. You have Newsweek, the Daily Mail, The Hill, Think Progress, the Daily Dot, basically every single one of these bigger websites reporting on the fact, BuzzFeed News, that Roseanne tweeted about QAnon, and she's just a conspiracy theorist nut job. Now, if you type it into Google, of course you're going to get the exact, what you would expect from the brainwashing, censoring, propagandized, non-truthful Google search engine that won't even put up a pictorial for Easter, but they're glad to do it for whatever is today. Anyway, it says analysis: the conspiracy theory behind a curious Roseanne Barr tweet. And they're gonna break down how Q is a conspiracy. Roseanne Barr and the new dumb conspiracy theory we have to hear about now. I mean, look at this. I don't even think they read what Q is reporting. I don't even think they come and watch videos like this. I don't even think they're involved in the Q phenomenon whatsoever. They're just paid lots of money to write stories about how it's a dumb, quote-unquote, conspiracy. Well, I have news for you. It is about as dumb as voting for a woman who has been found to have deleted 33,000 emails containing classified information that could have compromised national security and sold secrets to our highest enemies abroad. Is that dumb? Exactly, that's what I thought. And of course, you have CNN, the Roseanne tweets support of Trump conspiracy theory. Confusing Twitter because nobody can think for themselves. Critical thinking has been thrown out the window for today and from here forward because CNN does not approve of this narrative. Now, okay, I'm getting a little facetious here, but you guys get the point. Another thing I wanted to point out, Trump's at this, this is a brief aside to it all. Trump's at the Easter egg rolling thing today at the White House with the kids, and you have Jim Acosta, and I don't know if it was today or the other day, But you have Jim Acosta screaming all these questions to him about DACA in front of all these kids. They're just trying to read stories and be kids and enjoy a day of Easter, a day without politics. And you have Jim Acosta, like an impetulant child who is not getting his attention, screaming from the sidelines about how he needs questions answered about the Trump's previous statement about the 1,500 illegal immigrants who are marching through freaking Mexico all the way, apparently, marching from Honduras all the way up through Mexico to cross our border and to take our benefits and whatever we have for them here that will provide an assistance. Because you know what? Why have borders? Let's just bring every single person from everywhere in the country in. But that wouldn't work for CNN, because then we'd have to take in the Russians, and they might just have their heads explode if they had to consider that possibility. Tangent aside, let's move into the next. This is a sad story, and it's true. Now, I covered this before in one of my previous posts, talking about the significance of February 12th, 2009. Now, I did point to the air crash. There was an airplane crash of a Colgan flight, but I didn't pick up on at the moment when I had many commenters who picked up on this well before Q posted this. So you guys are so sharp. Keep it up in the comments. Incredible work on your parts. But it said that Beverly Eckert, okay, so she had this, she was a head of, let's just read about her. She was an activist and advocate for the creation of 9/11 Commission. Her husband, unfortunately, was killed in 9/11. His name was Sean Rooney. God rest his soul. And God rest her soul, as she passed on February 12, 2009. She was a part of this 9/11 Family Steering Committee, and she was actually putting together lawsuits against the government for 9/11 because she felt that they were responsible, which we're starting to see evidence that could be very possible, that not only did they have a role as responsible actors in it, but may have actually had a further role as well. But that's all alleged. We can't get into facts before they're verified, okay? I understand there's a lot of firm people out there who have their speculative views on 9/11, and we have to keep those alive. We have to keep pushing them forward, and I know many different theories, and hopefully one day I'll be able to do a whole rundown of a lot of facts regarding what happened on that day. But I can tell you right now that it's been proven that the Saudis were involved. It's been proven that we've had connections with the Saudis. So, I mean, the Bin Laden family was allowed to fly out of Washington unencumbered on the day of September 11th, even though every other flight in the country was grounded. Those are things that are facts that are indisputable. And but there's so much more to the story even then that what we just talked about. Now, why is she important? Well, she was on this flight, and she was killed on February 12, 2009, in a crash of a Colgan Air Flight 3407 outside Buffalo, New York. She was traveling to Buffalo for a gathering with her family to mark the anniversary, the birthday of her deceased husband. And she had just met a week before with U.S. President Barack Obama to discuss detainees at Guantanamo and other matters. And that would be including other things regarding the investigation into 9/11 as well, I would assume. Now, how is this important? Well, Q obviously points in one of the previous posts here. He says, right here, this is an AN0N. Seeing a lot of your leaks lately, friend. Good to have a friend leaker for once. And then Q responds, HRC 212-2009, very bad, Q. So what he's pointing at right now, he says, the timestamp is the key. And we read through this meme, and it says, hi, I'm Beverly Eckert. My husband was killed during the 9/11 attacks. I rejected $1.8 million from the government and filed a lawsuit against them instead. I was a loudmouth and a well-known figure in the 9/11 truth movement. Coincidentally, days after meeting with President Obama, I died in a plane crash. What does Q tell us? There are no coincidences. This is truly a sad story because this woman seems like an incredibly brave woman who is trying to fight an incredibly brave fight and courageous fight against some really powerful entities, and unfortunately she met her demise. And we all have to go sometimes, so I'm hoping and praying that she's just up in heaven, as we all will be one day with our Heavenly Father, assuming that we repent and we are forgiven and are saved by the grace of God. Now, Q's pointing to this, and this is so important because he's confirming what he's saying about the 21209 thing in HRC. So is the implication being made here, and this is all alleged, nothing, this is all purported, this is all alleged, this is just thinking out loud based on the facts that are being presented, is there a nexus between Hillary and this plane crash? Was it ordered? These are valid questions. I don't see how anybody, as a rational, logical reporter of the truth, could overlook that and think that it was something to be dismissed. So please, 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 if you guys have thoughts, let me know what you think in the comments. I'd love to hear your take on it. Incredible, incredible story there. We pray for the family of Seth Rooney and Beverly Eckert. Both of them, we pray for them. Okay, so next, Q posts a Breitbart article that's very important. First, we'll read quickly through the article. So, headline, Turley, Sessions appointing Utah federal prosecutor much better for Trump than second special counsel. Why? Well, the genius, why we should have trusted Sessions, the genius of what Sessions did. We'll get into that in a second, but let's go through what this is. Okay, so this guy, John, he's a U.S. attorney named John Huber out of Utah. Okay, he has been put in conjunction to work with the Inspector General. Now, why is that important? And why is that different from bringing in a second special counsel? Well, the Inspector General has been conducting an investigation of the FBI and other corrupt agencies in our government for quite some time. But it is truly difficult to bring together the prosecutorial powers of the judiciary with the investigatory side of the legislative branch and the mixing of that, even though the Inspector General is a subset of the Department of Justice's office, or it's an oversight to that. So why is it important? Well, you bring in a guy like John Huber, and what can John Huber do? Well, John Huber can call grand juries in any district in America. So as the article points out here, he has the authority to actually put together a grand jury to assess the possibility of criminal indictments that he can then bring straight to prosecution. And that's what we've been missing this whole time as we've walked through Congress and seen them say, look, we can write subpoenas all day. This is Trey Gowdy, kind of what his thing is. We can write subpoenas all day, but we can't prosecute. We can't bring those charges in court because that's the judicial role. So instead of appointing a second special counsel, what they've done is they've taken the investigation that's been ongoing for quite some time, and they've combined it with a U.S. attorney who has the power to prosecute. And this is going to actually fast-track prosecutions across the board, in my opinion. And if you guys have another more in-depth explanation of this, I'd love to hear it. I have so much information to go through. I don't want to take too much time. If you guys want to read this article, just go to Breitbart, and you can type this headline in, and you should be able to find it pretty quickly. So there you go. And a quick addition to that, I mean, just look at what the article says right here. I really want to point this one blip out that I think is really concisely putting together what we can say this is going to be beneficial for. So, this is it. As a U.S. attorney, Huber has full authority to impanel a grand jury and to file criminal charges. A grand jury can be impaneled anywhere, which means that it could be a group of citizens from deep red Utah in the heart of Trump country instead of the D.C. swamp that decides whether to hand down indictments for felony prosecution. That's going to make all the difference in the world, ladies and gentlemen. That's going to be as Trump would say, huge, huge. But I digress. Going into what Q says. Why was this made public? John Huber appointed by, removed by, reappointed by, why the reboot? Think logically. History books, Q. Now, I have a few thoughts on this, but I really want to hear what your take is in the comments, because this is what I'm putting together so far. Okay, so we have, it was made public because the hammer is going to start dropping on some of these big high-profile people. John Huber, he was appointed by Jeff Sessions. So trust Sessions, right? That was where that all came from. He was removed by Sessions, and I think reappointed by Sessions. So I think the reboot has a lot to do with how it was a head fake, basically, by Sessions, because he wanted to gain the trust of people like Rod Rosenstein and others, in order to be able to infiltrate their depths that much further and to get a foothold inside that. Now, you have to understand, as soon as people were dismissing it and saying Sessions is a fake and a phony, now I disagree with him on one particular issue that I'm kind of adamantly against him on, and it's pretty much non-consequential issue from my perspective, because it wouldn't matter either way, because I don't think he's going to have a big stake in changing that policy. But other than that, I have every reason to trust Sessions. And that aside, looking at what is happening here, this was all a part of a historic head fake. You feign weakness when you're really strong, or in that sense of basically infiltrating the enemy, for lack of a better term. And that's what this has all been about. So we're talking 4 or 5D chess here. I'm not sure what level we're at this point, but it continues to get more and more interesting. Now, the next one. Q is responding to his own post, his previous post here. It says, what is Sessions specifically recused from? Watch the executive orders. So this is the genius, again, of Sessions' recusal. The confidentiality and media contacts policy as a part of a recusal in Title I of the Judicial Code for dealing with this, the U.S. Attorney's Manual, right? Okay, well, guess what Sessions doesn't have to do as part of him recusing himself from this ongoing investigation? He doesn't have to talk to the press, and he doesn't have to give any kind of information out, and he is not at all, as part of the normal protocol, supposed to have any media contacts or, I mean, he can, but he can't discuss the issue that he has recused himself from. Now, why is that important? Well, that gives him complete stealth mode for investigating these crimes that are being committed, and by investigating the investigators at the Department of Justice. And if you don't believe me that they're still ripe full at the Department of Justice of leakers, Obama loyalists, and deep state actors, just look at what Donald Trump just tweeted out. 39% of my nominations, including diplomats to foreign lands, have not been confirmed due to Democratic obstruction and delay. At this rate, it would take more than 7 years before I'm able to have these great people start working. Never happened before. Disgraceful. And it is disgraceful. Why is it disgraceful? I'm sure you can put together in your head, but I'm going to say it because it has to be said. They are evil. I mean, they're obstructionists. They're obstructing his ability to enact the core principles, the governing principles we elected him to effectively put into place. Now, that aside, this is a part of the genius. Now, he says, watch the executive orders. So I think, you look back at the human trafficking executive order, and dozens other ones that are just incredible for basically tearing down the cabal's power structure that they put up around the Obama executive order. Well, I mean, you think about what Obama did with executive orders. He did basically everything that he wanted. He never even sought Congress's help for most things. If he wanted to get something done, he just wrote it into law himself, basically extrajudicially, without any oversight, just him, a paper and a pen. Now, you can argue that we don't want any president to have that kind of overruling power, but aren't you glad we have it now, looking at what Trump's doing with it to undo the unfair, like the mandates of the Obama administration? I am. Now, next Q post. And I'd like to hear what you guys have to think about that. If you have any thoughts on Sessions, I know you guys are very strong-minded when it comes to him, so let me know what you think in the comments. We're going to read through this. It's very interesting. April, Killbox A. Inspector General report. Sessions public attack. Rod Rosenstein problems. Seals broken. A. Killbox arrests. Why was Huber made public? Why now? Everything has meaning. A. Awan. Imran Awan. Specifically the tech guy for the DNC, who's been implicated as being a Muslim Brotherhood and or Pakistani plant, who has been leaking information to all different countries across the world and doing it to basically set up dead drops for, allegedly dead drops for the Clinton crime cartel and other high-ranking officials who wanted to sell information to foreign actors. I'm sorry, I am not choosing to get this information. This is what is being given to me. So I'm just telling you, it's unfortunate that this is all true, allegedly. Tarmac, Iran, North Korea, Uranium One, FBI, DOJ, Mueller, election integrity, immigration bill, border wall, military start, big month Q. That's what we have to look forward to in April. He's giving us, this is another one where the proofs of Q we're going to see, but he was telling us trust Sessions, and look at what's happening. We have an actual U.S. attorney with prosecutorial powers and the power to convene a grand jury anywhere in the United States, teaming up with the Inspector General, who apparently they've had an investigation going since November of 2017, okay, into the FBI and everything that Congress wanted them to investigate. So it's going to be a big month, ladies and gentlemen. Please, we'll have to pray and look forward to seeing people get their due as it comes. Now, he's responding here in the next one to his own post, okay? And this is what he just posted. He says, Facebook, Amazon, Twitter, Google, 10 or 11 dots, so it may be a plus 11 more. Big problems Q. So obviously, if you've been watching everything that's been going on, I don't need to recap this. There's plenty of content you can go back and look at. Even today, you have Mark Zuckerberg, who let me pull up this article real quick. You have to see this. So here's another article out of Breitbart talking about how Mark Zuckerberg explains how Facebook will try to kill alternative media. Now, when you read through this article, you realize that what Mark Zuckerberg is explaining is how he's going to start subverting the ability of people, namely people like myself and others, who are alternative media sources. And when I say alternative, I just mean outside of the mainstream. And they want to replace us with the New York Times and other, who he says are quote unquote, even if people don't know who they are, like speaking about the New York Times, even if people don't know who they are, they still tend to trust them more than, say, an alternative media website. What the? Since when is Mark Zuckerberg the Oz and the controlling factor in everything that is real and that is fake? Since when is he the arbiter of truth? Since when is he the person who we need to look to for guidance when it comes to what is real and what is not? Especially given how I've went through before the despicable nature in which he views us, people who trust him. He says in text messages to Sean Parker that were made public, "I can't believe these dumb effers trusted me." Okay? That's the kind of person that we are dealing with here. And ultimately, he is going to now tell us that we're not reliable, not trustworthy. For instance, I'm sure he would look at me and think of me as a completely untrustworthy person. Therefore, he would knock my video out of the algorithm that would promote it, but promote the one that does the Wall Street Journal or CNN. And you can even see they implemented this algorithm in January. And the article goes on to say that since then, you've seen astronomical increases in the amount of clicks and views that CNN and the Wall Street Journal and MSNBC and all these other places are getting, as opposed to what it was before, where it was a natural, organic movement of information where the people who surfaced were usually just those with the most interesting and the most thought-provoking and the most attention-worthy pieces of news to be reported. Now it's going to be Mark Zuckerberg telling us who and how we are to get our news. Because, you can read right here, Facebook traffic to establishment outlets, including CNN and NBC, soared upwards while traffic to conservative outlets fell when they introduced the new system in January. Look at that smug. This guy, now, Lord, please just give me the strength. I'm not going to get into going down another level and talking about who and how I think of him, who he is and what I think of him. But I will tell you this. This guy has not shown me 1 ounce of trustability. I think he's the one who we should be distrusting. I think he's the one who needs a label next to his name that says untrustworthy. I think he's the one who should have articles from InfoWars and Breitbart posted under his posts so that we can compare it to what might actually be the truth, as opposed to what he's putting out there. So I wonder how they'll take that. But anyway, I don't want to get off. We're in the middle of this. Facebook, Amazon, Twitter, Google, big problems, Q. That's what's going to happen. Plain and simple. These people are being targeted now, and I really hope that it's in time for not just the next election cycle here this year, but coming up in 2020 as well. We don't let them beat us online, because that is where this movement starts, and that's where we will succeed and win again. So, Anonymous posts here, an AN0N. He says, "I still follow your lead on all of this, relying on the inquiry of those digging here, or relying more on the inquiry of those digging here, but March wasn't nearly as mad, quote unquote, as you sold us. Please don't build us up to break us down, Q." And then Q responds to saying, "North Korea, Q." And I think that's all you have to say. It's like, that's so true. Okay, you guys out there who have been complaining and saying there's nothing going on, look, this is happening. Did you ever think 6 months ago when, we were getting ready for war with North Korea that they would be coming to the negotiating table? I mean, just ask yourself that. That is a big deal. So I've never thought for a second that we've been getting built up. I think that the only thing we're building here is the truth. And it is big. Every single part of it is bigger than the last. Now, here's an interesting one. This is really interesting. I think that some of the ANONs on the board were asking and requesting for Q to get Trump to say tippy top shape. And it says here, Q says, "It was requested. Did you listen today, Q?" Well, let's go ahead and watch that. Hold on.
Also, I want to thank the White House Historical Association and all of the people that work so hard with Melania, with everybody, to keep this incredible house or building or whatever you want to call it, because there really is no name for it. It is special. And we keep it in tip-top shape. We call it sometimes tippy-top shape. And it's a great, great place. Thank you very much.
So there you go. It was requested. Did you listen? Yeah, we're hearing it. Now, last two posts, very important. Let's go right through them. WWG 1 WGA. Where we go one, we go all. Drops will go fast. White House clean signal. Marker. Everything is planned. Years. Message. Unity awakening. We fight. Lexington, Concord, stay together. Q. Now, this is pretty simple. This is what's coming. The White House is able to get the information out now. This has been years in advance planning. I'm one of those of the theory that Trump was actually recruited by certain intelligence agencies, maybe not directly but indirectly. And when he finally did run, that's when Admiral Rogers went over and laid it all down to him when he saw that he had basically won and that he was going to be president. He went over and made it very clear everything that was going on behind the scenes. Thank God for Admiral Rogers. Now, the message, we have to have unity and we have to have an awakening, but we'll fight. And for those of you who aren't familiar with Lexington and Concord, especially some of our international viewers, a lot of people are going to be very aware of it, especially those who are from the United States here, and we all know it as the shot heard around the world, the first battles of the American Revolution. But Lexington and Concord were the first military engagements of the American Revolutionary War, and they were basically the marker for our effective stand against the tyrannical British who were coming in to enforce taxation without representation, to which we did not want to have any part in, among many other issues at the time that were being fought for that war. So that's where we're at. These are the first shots heard around the world. They will be, especially when the U.S. Attorney with the Inspector General starts making indictments and people start dropping like flies. Now the next one's great. It says, follow, and he's responding to his own post here, follow Bolton, clean, stage, learn how to archive offline. The streets will not be safe for them. Okay, so first off, I'm going to tell each and every one of you, archive all of this information offline. All these posts, all the articles you can find that you think might get pulled down, the Q maps, even these videos. I know I am. I'm archiving everything offline. As far as what I do is in content, and I'm screen shooting and getting screenshots and putting all of this data into Word documents, searchable, all of that. And why am I doing that? Well, because it's super important for us to keep this information. These boards and websites will only be up as long as the fake stream media still thinks it's a dumb conspiracy theory. Once they realize there's truth lying within this thread and this intelligence movement, dissemination, if you will, they're going to work day and night tirelessly to shut it down. Now, they're doing that right now behind the scenes, and I can attest from my own experience that YouTube does not like me or what I'm doing, but that is fine. I have nothing against them. They're a corporation. I hope that they just remain neutral and allow for a public platform so that CNN can get on and say their stories, but then I can as well. That's all I'm asking. And be treated fairly on both sides. Okay? That's all I'm asking for. CBS right now, they're one of them. They've come after one of my videos for a copyright claim. So they've knocked off the whole monetization for it. My videos got over 100,000 views, and still YouTube gives the person filing the copyright complaint, a 30-day window to decide what to do. Now, how is that fair to me at all? I mean, I'm getting into a tangent here, but and I tend to do that. But how is that fair to the creator? Especially when it's a 47-minute video and it's a 38-second clip that's obviously fair use. You know? No, it's unfair and it's biased, but we have to go through it nonetheless because it doesn't matter. Do what you have to do. You guys, I know even if they take away all the funding I can get, monetization and all that, I know I'll be supported in Patreon. I know I'll be supported by all the patriots out there who watch and take this information and need it. But let's get back onto what this is saying. Follow Bolton. Okay, so Bolton, what's he been doing? But this is an article out of The Guardian. I'm not a big fan of theirs, but why John Bolton is much more like Trump than some think. Now, regardless of what everyone says about John Bolton, yes, he's had some very interesting faux pas of the past, and I am one of the people who are like Tucker, who had him on and said he was better had a better record than John Bolton did, which is very likely and true, but likely to be true. But Bolton, as I've heard him talked about in by other people, other establishment people, is that he's a bulldog who will take orders. And just like Mattis, that's what we need, okay? Especially on the global stage. So I have a feeling, and I'm not going to tell you guys for fact, but that we may very well in the future see posts along the line of what we saw with Sessions, where it says, trust Bolton. This is the beginning of the Bolton deception, if you will, the Bolton infiltration, however you want to look at it. But that's speculative. I don't know. Maybe not. Maybe Bolton's just a mad actor out on his own. You guys let me know what you think. Q says here, we're on a clean stage. We need to learn how to archive all of this information offline. And ultimately, the streets will not be safe for them, because once we expose the Satanism, the Luciferian pedophiles, the global elites who are running this country and using it as their own personal little playground of evil, once we expose that, these people will not be able to walk down the streets, which is why they all have these massive underground compounds in New Zealand, where they all think if the stuff hits the fan, they're just going to run away there and nobody's ever going to know. But guess what? You can run, but you can't hide. So that's going to be it for tonight. I want to thank everybody who's joined me here tonight. Thank you again to all my subscribers. If you haven't yet, make sure you come here. The easiest way to support my channel is to come here to this landing page and click the big red subscribe button. Make sure you hit the bell for notifications so you get notified as soon as the videos get posted, because as soon as the information is made available to me, I make it available to you. That's the easiest way you can contribute, and I really appreciate it. So thank you so much, everybody who comes here and does that. It's like throwing me a buck, and it costs you nothing, so it's really easy to do. Now, another thing, each one of these boards is each one of these videos is on the comment thread a QAnon research board. So please go down and comment. Give me your thoughts. Give me your theories. Let me know if you think I'm right. Let me know if you think I got it wrong. Let me know if there's another interpretation that I missed. Give me your scriptures, your blessings, your prayers, your thoughts. I mean, I need it all, and I crave it all every day. I have to get up and read through comments and see what you guys are thinking, because you guys ultimately are what make this channel possible. And the more of you get involved, the less likely they are to be able to shut this voice down that we've created here together, all of us together. Because a lot of what I put out there is stuff that is just being given to me by incredible patriots who want the best for this country and are trying to forward the truth. So please come here and comment. That's the best way to help the channel survive. Now, if you want to help me out, I really appreciate it. I can use all the help I can get, but you come here to patreon.com. That's patreon.com. Search Just Informed Talk, And when you come to this landing page, click the Become a Patron button. And I want to thank each and every one of my contributors, my patrons. You guys are the cream of the crop and the top of the top as far as it goes in my book. So we're actually going to take a moment at the end of this episode to thank each and every one of my featured Patreon patrons. So I hope you stick around for that. But if you want to contribute, please come here and check out my rewards and my goal. You can get a chance for an email correspondence. You can get a chance to become a featured Patreon patron, as we'll highlight at the end of this episode. You can even get a chance to get an official Just Informed Talk t-shirt. It's all for donation. The t-shirts I don't make really that much money on, but I thought it was a cool idea. So if you contribute at that level, you will get a t-shirt. So come check that out. So again, thank you to each and every one of you who has contributed, and thank you to everyone who will come and contribute. So now, my Patreon featured Patreon patrons for the month of March. Here we go. So without further ado, this last month of March, we had quite a few. We had quite a few featured Patreon patrons, and I want to go through each and every one of them. First, special thank you to Shannon P. Second, thank you especially to a person who would like to be called Hippie Frog. Thank you, Hippie Frog. You sound like a great person, and I appreciate your contribution. Thank you to Wayne G. Thank you to John L. Thank you to Anthony W. Thank you to Frank S. And thank you to Ron B. Thank you to Blake H. And I have a very special shout out to a very good friend of mine here who contributed, who I've come to like through our conversations. His name is Terry Emery, and he's a true Canadian patriot. And why does that matter? Well, Terry is a nice guy who loves God and loves his country, Canada, but he sees a lot of the problems, but he loves America, and he is a big fan of our country, and he supports us, and he's actually trying to emigrate legally, which I give him all the credit in the world for doing, from Canada down to Arizona. And I just want to give a quick shout out to him and tell him to hang in there, stick with the good fight, you'll make it. He asked me if I had any advice for him. My best advice is to go to the comments of this video and read through and see if anybody who has any expertise here on helping Terry emigrate, as far as getting immigration lawyers and other different aspects of immigrating to the United States from Canada. He sounds like the kind of person that we want here. He sounds like a true patriot, not just for Canada, but for the United States. And he's a Q enthusiast and supporter. So we definitely give him a big shout out. But those were our featured Patreon patrons for the month of March. So that is definitely something that's cool. Now, before we go, the last thing I'm going to talk about here is the most important. God. He is the reason we are all here. He's the reason this channel is here. Everything I do is to spread his word. I love bringing you guys information. I love bringing you guys the latest Q posts or the latest news or the latest breakdown of something that maybe nobody had really thought of or hadn't been brought up in a while and need to be re-examined. But ultimately, what I love to do is to talk about God's grace and how it can save you. A lot of people have reached out to me over the time of making this channel and continuing to produce all the content I do and read through all the comments and go through what we go through on a daily basis. I'm continually touched by people in the comments, people who have children who are in active duty, who are being deployed, people who have spouses who are actively deployed, people who have found their religion again. Not by me, of course, I would never say that, but by God's grace, that they maybe heard something I said and wanted to reaffirm their faith for themselves. That is what I do this whole channel for, and that's what we all need to work for every day, because the easiest thing we can do is act like it only matters when they're watching, when someone's watching. But what really matters is when no one's watching, when we're by ourselves, or when we're with a small group of people, and we really have a chance to spread God's word, and we really have a chance to help someone else reaffirm their faith, and to bring the light of God that is so powerful, it's so amazing, it's so special, it's so healing, it's so it's just everything. And you bring that, and then you present it to someone else, and then you watch that fire catch in their heart, and then you see them transform into a beacon for the world. That's why I do it, ladies and gentlemen. That's why I do it. So I want to thank each and every one of you for your amazing testimonials, your thoughts, your prayers, your blessings, your sacrifices. I mean, for those of you who don't know, the family of deployed men and women are just as affected as those deployed. Maybe not in the same ways, but it's always a challenge. And as I've said before, God gives us these challenges sometimes to help us strengthen parts of our character that may have been weak. Some people choose to believe it's the devil. In certain circumstances, of course, the devil's going to put obstacles in our way. But in certain circumstances, what we see as an obstacle may be a blessing from God. It may be teaching us a lesson. It may be strengthening us in an area where we were weak. It may be giving us an opportunity to prove our faith to God. And it all starts with you. And it all starts with just opening your heart and letting God in. So I hope that helps everyone out there. And if you don't take anything away from these episodes, if you're skeptical of Q still, which I don't know how you would be, but if you are, and you're just whatever, just take away the fact that God loves you, and that each day is another opportunity to reaffirm that faith and to get your life everlasting with Him. As soon as you reaffirm that faith, the floodgates of heaven will open up. So I know that to be true. So I'm going to leave it there. I want to say thank you all for joining me. I really deep thank you from the bottom of my heart to everyone who has been a part of this channel so far. Thank you to all my subscribers. If you haven't, make sure you come here and click the big red subscribe button and join the channel so that you can become part of the Just Informed Talk initiative, that we're creating a movement here just by ourselves, by putting together incredible thought and insight with these great videos. So that's going to be it for tonight. I want to say thanks for watching. I'm Craig. This is Just Informed Talk. God bless and Godspeed, Patriots.